good morning, and welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show. My name is Joseph of Borg. I come to you live each Sunday from Las Vegas, Nevada, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Feel free to call in and talk to me. Area code 725-333-4140. I look forward to taking your call. It really helps to turn on my mic. Okay, I want to apologize for those of you who didn't get to see the live stream this week. I did have some technical difficulties that I think I'll have worked out. I think I know what went wrong, but that said, I apologize if you tried to tune in live and couldn't reach me. My name is Joseph of Borg. I'm a longtime pain patient, and I do this show every Sunday morning because I want to answer your questions. I want to give you a place where you can reach out, share your stories, talk to somebody else. I know chronic pain makes a lot of us feel isolated and alone, which can literally be a killer. So if you want to talk to me, ask me questions, or whatever, you can call my live, it's on that side, live call-in number 725-333-4140 when I'm on live Sunday mornings, or you can call there and leave a message. You can leave a voicemail for me if you want. Also, you can obviously make a comment, write a question, or whatever down in the comments section, obviously. Or if you'd like to remain anonymous, or if you want to contact me through a different means, you can always email me at josephofborg@gmail.com. I will give you a quick rundown on my background. I call myself Joseph of Borg because I have a computer attached to my spine that allows me to walk. I've been a chronic pain patient for a lot of years and a member of the online chronic pain community since pretty much there's been an online pain community. So I've had spinal injections, different medications for pain and nerve pain and whatnot, radio frequency ablations, and that culminated in me getting a spinal cord stimulator. I am pretty much the success poster boy for spinal cord stimulators, which is one of the reasons I'm starting a new channel, and I'll talk about that when I go into my little bumper break where it allows me to get up and walk around for a few minutes. So today I want to cover MRIs, how to read them. The reason I think this is important is often I see people posting online. They'll post either the written report of their MRI or they'll put up a picture and they'll ask, what does this mean? And I don't want to bash anybody, but let's just say that the answers that they get aren't always accurate. And I believe, and I often say knowledge is power, so I think if you go and learn the terms, understand it for yourself, it will help you communicate with your doctor. It will help you be a better patient, which should help you, in my opinion, get better results with your treatments and make you a better advocate for yourself. Because if you're a chronic pain patient, advocating for yourself is probably going to be, at the very least, your new part-time job. So without further ado, we will get into this. I will bring up my screen and try and give you guys a little crash course. For those of you who have never seen an MRI, this is what they look like. This is the front of my body. This would be my mouth. This is my brain up here. At least there's something still there, despite what my wife might think. Front of the body, back of the body, spinal column, which is all your vertebra, your discs, vertebra. And this is your spinal cord. You can see mine's compressed pretty severely right here, and I will get back to that when I talk more about the written report. But I just thought for those of you who have never seen an image of an MRI, this is my cervical spine, which is up in my neck, obviously, and that's what they look like. Now, with regard to the written report, C stands for cervical, that's going to be in the neck. T is thoracic, that's kind of your middle back. If it were to say L, that would be lumbar or your lower back. And basically the way I go through this, usually they'll give you a disc with your images right away if you ask for it. And I always would ask for it because carry it with you when you go to your appointments, because you never know if the information is going to make it to the doctor you're going to see. It's always better to have it and not need it. Same, I would print out your written report. Usually you get that a few days after the procedure, either logging in through their website or they'll email it to you if you ask them. Again, hey, you're the patient, you've paid for this information. Make sure you have a copy to take with you when you go see your doctor. So in a PDF, you can only highlight really one word at a time, but if you don't know what a word means, highlight it and look it up. Okay, now you might get an answer that you still don't understand. For instance, that's why I picked this particular term. You can go in and you can click on these terms. Okay, composed of, containing, or resembling bone or bony. Okay, so that's pretty straight ahead. And we'll go back. Abnormal growth or increase. So that tells us that particular term is bony. Okay, complex is a word that they seem to love to insert every chance they can. I think they get 50 cents for every time they do it, for every time they use it, to be honest. That's the way it seems. But yeah, and then just word by word, the words you don't understand, the terms you don't understand, you can go through. Bilateral, okay, pertaining to or involving or affecting two or both sides, okay. This one I want to show you because this one, it doesn't know. So when I have that, I will just go up here, click on it, and when you're working in Chrome, at least, you can just highlight it, click on it, and go do a Google search for it. And, you know, this is going to give you pretty good ideas. You can, you know, it's a little tedious, but again, if you learn this stuff once, then you'll know it forever and you'll really know what's going on. Because let's face it, we really all should know what's going on with our bodies and what the hell the doctor is talking about. So I don't want to bore you to death, but that is exactly how I go through it, word for word. I mentioned earlier that I'd get back to it. My spinal canal, stenosis measuring 6 millimeters in diameter. So the spinal canal, where my spinal cord lives, I guess for lack of a better term, has been compressed down to 6 millimeters. It should be around 15. Anything under 10 is considered stenosis from what I read and study. But again, this should empower you to go ahead and learn what's going on with you, how to read these things. If you've got to write it out word for word, you know, replace words with the definitions, however you've got to do it, because I think it's vital that you understand what's going on with you. They seem to use different terms for similar situations, almost like they're trying to make it confusing. So with that said, I didn't have a whole lot else I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm shooting this after the fact. The live stream kind of ended up a bit of a cluster, if you will, and so I'm coming to you guys after the fact. So I will be back next Sunday live, provided I get my tech situation under control. So with that said, because spinal cord stimulators are different than any other surgery, I've created a YouTube channel just for them, and I want to share a clip with you so that I can go grab some coffee and walk around for a minute, because that's what I have to do for my spinal issues every few minutes. A gentleman named Tim contacted me, and he was more than willing to share his success story on the channel that I've created called Spinal Cord Stimulator Success Stories. I'm going to have 2 different playlists. One is going to be informational videos and answering questions about spinal cord stimulators. The other playlist is going to be success stories to help inspire people who might be thinking about getting one. So with that said, I'm going to run this clip of Tim, and I will be back in just a few minutes. It sounds like I need to let my dogs out as well. Why don't I just ask you to tell us a little bit about where you're from, and feel free to then just jump into your story that you want to share with us today.
Absolutely. Okay. So, and I thank you for having me do this. My name is Tim Murray, and I'm from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Rode dirt bikes, raced motocross, and I just kind of lived a daredevil life, so to say. And so back in the day, I had a friend. He had built a motocross track in his backyard, and they all stood there and looked at it, and they didn't know what to do. They built it too big. So they called me. We should come over and take a look. And I thought, okay. So I went, and I stopped over, and I knew right away it was too big. And I thought, well, you know, there's just too many people standing around to not give this a shot, you know. So I looked around, and, you know, I made my decision. I thought, I'm going to do this. And so I went back as far as I could, and I just started grabbing gears. And I hit that jump, and I overshot it. And I landed about 20 feet past where I needed to land on flat ground. And I don't know if you know much about motocross, but when you hit a jump, you always want to hit the downside of your landing. Okay.
Sure.
So I didn't have that happen. I was taken to the hospital. I was coherent. I could hear everybody talking. My eyes were not open. My head was down. I was having a tough time breathing. Got up to the hospital, and they at that point had told me, they said, you smashed 2 vertebrae in your lower back. 22 years. About the age of 38, well, mind you not, I guess I should say, I quit racing motocross at about 33. I just couldn't do it no more. And every day was a struggle from that day on, you know, so getting in and out of my vehicle was tough. Not tough enough to where I couldn't do it, but it was tough. Getting on a dirt bike was extremely tough, but I would do it. Just all the things that shouldn't have been tough for me were tough. And I knew at this point I was outside mowing the lawn, and I went to get off the riding lawnmower, and it wasn't happening. And I tried everything, and I'm at the time I was a pretty slim guy, probably about 180 pounds, and I should have had no problem getting off that mower, and I could not. Thank God my father-in-law was in the house. My wife was in the house. And they kind of came out and kind of watched and realized I was having trouble. And, well, we eventually got me off the mower, and I was keeled over for about a good 15 minutes. And at that point, my wife was like, this is it. You're going to see a doctor. Really excited about that. And so I did the MRI, and I came back in, and my wife said, well, I'm going with you. And I thought, oh, great. So now I'm screwed, you know. So I can't even fudge the stuff. So I went in, and I sat down, and he kind of looked at me funny, and I knew right then and there. I knew I knew I was in trouble, and I shouldn't say in trouble, but I knew it was serious. And he looked at me and he said, Tim, have you ever heard of spondylolisthesis? Now, mind you not, I can say that word now. But when I looked at him and I said, "What?" I'm like, "Can you say that again?" And he did. And I'm like, "You got to say it again." And so he ended up saying it 5 times. And I'm like, I will never ever be able to pronounce that word. So I actually had to write it down, and I practiced that word for 2 months before I could say it straight. And sciatic nerve was horrible. So from the right leg, or I should say from the right butt cheek, all the way down to the foot. Felt like electricity going through my leg, and at the same time I had numbness, and at the same time it felt like my foot was being crushed in a vise, and at all times it felt like I had a car parked on top of my foot. And so I just couldn't justify any of this. And then the walking sensation of my foot felt like I had rocks super glued to the bottom of my foot.
I told my doctor Legos, but you know, I tell people while we're on the sciatic pain for a second, you know, that nerve pain, dude. I tell people, I said, you know, who have, we'll call it more structural issues as opposed to nerve pain. I said, I'm not trying to downplay your pain because I've got that kind of pain too, man. But that nerve pain is a whole nother, excuse my language, but it's a whole nother fucking beast.
Oh yeah.
Woo.
Sciatic nerve was horrible. I could see where one would want to say, you know, this is it. You know, just for the fact that I can see where. How long can you do it? How long can you go living like that?
Exactly.
And you can only get to the point. You can only go so far before you start to then realize, man, there just is nothing you can do. Yeah. I went to go visit with the pain doctor, and at this point, you know, he said, "Well, I'm going to try you on some gabapentin," and I said, "Doctor, I've already done that." He's like, "You have?" And I said, "Yeah, we've gone that route. We've done this. Doesn't work." And he said, "Well, I'm going to try you on something else." So he tried me on something else, and holy moly, I can't remember the name of what it was. Day 3 of taking it, I called him up. I said, "This ain't going to work." I couldn't even focus. Walking to the mailbox was too much. He said to me, he said, "I think you're a prime candidate for a spinal cord stimulator." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, I got a friend who's got one." I said, "So let's talk a little bit about it." So we did, and I talked with my friend that's got one. I talked with him quite a bit about it. And he had told me his story, which wasn't good. He had actually already had his in for about a year, and he didn't have good luck. I could give you a list of reasons why, but he chose not to go back for reprogramming. He just took it from the day he left the surgery and never went back. And so he just there were options that he just didn't take. But I still, you know, I explored, and I was like, okay, well, there's people that are having really good luck with these. My neurologist was really against them. He said, you know, 40% success rate, and he said 60% of the people end up getting them taken out within 2 years. And I said, well, I'm never going to know if I'm part of that 40% unless I try it.
Yeah, you know, and I personally think his numbers are a little overly pessimistic, but you know, from the studies I've seen, but you know, again, all they know is what their patients report.
And prior to my neurologist being against the spinal cord stimulator, he did eventually say, "This might be something for you." So with that being said, I did a lot of my own research. I saw a lot of success. I saw a lot of horror stories. I followed you, and you were actually 99.9% of the reason why I decided I'm going for it. You know, I read everything you had posted. I watched your videos. And I was like, man, this guy's the real deal. Like he's not cutting any corners. He's not sugarcoating anything. He is the real deal, and I'm going for it. And so I did. And I got the what did they call it? The trial. So they did the trial, and I had 100% success. I was outside running around. I hadn't done that in years, decades. Running around, kicking the ball. I've got a little guy. He's 4 years old. I was able to take him out. You know, I was able to get back on that more. Things were just phenomenal. And so when they took that trial out, I considered calling them and telling them that I couldn't make it because I didn't want it out. I wanted to just leave it in. Tears, and boy, it was just one of those where like, it worked, and I wanted to keep moving forward and did not want that thing removed. But he ended up taking that out. And so Right when he took it out there, I got my surgery date. I think 3 days later, the insurance approved to get the permanent. And I went back in, got the permanent in 2 weeks later. And 3 weeks after the permanent was in, the leads migrated. We still to this day we still don't really understand why. It just happened. So the leads migrated, and I figured I gotta try. I gotta keep going forward. I gotta try this. So we went through some programming, tried to do what we could with what we had, and came to conclude 8 months later it just wasn't cutting it. So with that being said, I wasn't ready to walk away from this because this worked and this did wonders for me. I mean, I was 100%. I wasn't on any pain meds at all. I went from taking pain meds to the day this thing got turned on. I didn't touch a pain med from that day forward until the leads migrated. So I was 100% success. Actually, I always tell people I was 110% success. So I went and I did my research, came back to your website there, and your Facebook, was watching some of your stuff, did some research, reached out to a couple people, and last week on Monday, May 20th, I went in and had my revision, and we they installed the paddles instead of the leads this time, and what a difference. What a difference. Now, the leads worked, and they did their job. But I'd be praising the ground that the doctor walks on today for those leads. Had they not migrated, it was just unfortunate that they did. The paddles have been installed. I just got turned on Tuesday, and this has been another success. I'm walking. I do have some foot pain, the crushing pain. There's some things that have to get worked on. It's only gonna get better as I proceed to work with the reps and we continue programs. So I've got some programming to do. But
that's something we hit on. It's a process. I think a lot of people don't go into it expecting to be a process, and that's why I started making videos. And I appreciate your kind words about the videos I make, but knowledge is power, especially in something as complicated as this. And people need to be prepared for the idea that this is a process. It's not set it and forget it. I really want to thank Tim for taking the time to share his story with me so that I could turn around and share it with you. So if you are indeed looking at getting a spinal cord stimulator, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Spinal Cord Stimulator Success Stories. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a rep, I'm not affiliated with any company or brand. I simply want to try and help you have the best results you possibly can. Well, I hope you found this week's episode informative. Hope you got something out of it. I try and provide you with some quality content because I respect your time that you spend with me. Again, if you want to contact me, reach out to me, questions, answers, or just because you feel alone and isolated by your pain and want to talk to somebody or communicate with somebody who really understands, I encourage you to reach out. You can either call the number and leave a message, leave a comment, or email me at josephofborg@gmail.com. That's really all I've got for this week. I want to thank you again for watching. Joseph of Borg, I'm out of here.